Stop explaining yourself. That habit is costing you more than failure ever did. Every time you announce your next move, every time you tell people what you are about to build, every time you reveal your future before it has bones, you weaken it. You think you are creating accountability. You think you are creating momentum. You think speaking your plan into the world makes it real. It does not. It makes it vulnerable. Because the moment your vision leaves the sanctuary of your mind and enters the mouths, opinions, insecurities, and projections of other people, it is no longer pure. It becomes exposed. It becomes touched. It becomes contaminated by the weak, the cynical, the envious, the passive, the afraid. And most people never notice the theft. They think their dream died because they lacked discipline. They think their momentum collapsed because life got in the way. They think they were unlucky. But something else happened, something darker. They spoke too soon. They revealed the seed before it could become a tree. And once the world saw it, the world began to press against it. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He lived in a brutal reality where appearances, intentions, loyalty, and ambition were all weapons. He knew that the man who reveals too much gives others time to prepare, time to resist, time to manipulate, time to smile in front of him while repositioning themselves behind his back. And that is the law most people never learn. Visible ambition attracts invisible opposition. You tell a friend your plan to leave your job and build something bigger. Suddenly they become concerned. You tell your family you are about to transform your life. Suddenly they become realistic. You tell people you are changing, ascending, focusing, disappearing, and somehow their energy shifts. They do not always attack directly. That would be too obvious. Most sabotage is subtle. A joke, a doubt, a raised eyebrow, a delay in enthusiasm, a strange silence, a question disguised as care. Are you sure? Isn't that risky? Why not wait a little longer? Do you really think now is the time? And if your mind is still fragile, if your vision is still forming, if your identity is still attached to external approval, those little needles go deep. They puncture the pressure. The energy leaks out. The fire becomes discussion. The mission becomes explanation. And slowly, without drama, you betray yourself. This is why some of your greatest plans died quietly, not because they were impossible, because you invited the crowd into a sacred room too early. Ask yourself this: how many times did your certainty feel strongest in solitude, then weaken the moment you shared it? How many times did a vision feel undeniable until it met another person's fear? How many times did you leave a conversation more confused than when you entered it, even though hours earlier your direction felt clear? That is not a coincidence. That is what happens when unfinished power is exposed to finished mediocrity. Most people cannot protect what they have never built. They cannot recognize the logic of transformation because they are attached to the comfort of repetition. When they hear your plan, they do not evaluate it from strength. They evaluate it from their limitations. They project their fears on your future and then call it wisdom. This is why Machiavelli is still dangerous today, because he refuses the comforting fantasy that people respond to your ambition with purity. He shows you something colder. People respond to rising power with calculation, sometimes conscious, sometimes unconscious, but always real. You must understand the psychology of this. When you reveal a bold plan, you do not just share information, you trigger hierarchy. You disturb the invisible order. Your transformation becomes a threat to everyone whose identity depends on you staying the same. If you become more disciplined, the undisciplined feel judged. If you become more focused, the distracted feel exposed. If you become more powerful, the passive feel small. Your ambition becomes a mirror, and most people would rather break the mirror than face what it reflects. That is why they interrupt momentum with commentary, not always because they hate you, often because your movement exposes their stagnation. This is one of the cruelest truths you will ever learn. The more potential people sense in you, the more dangerous your unfinished plan becomes to them. Not because it harms them, but because it reminds them of what they abandoned in themselves. And abandoned potential is bitter. So they do what weak people have always done. They slow down what they cannot create. They question what they cannot sustain. They mock what they secretly envy. They reduce what they cannot reach. Not with knives, with tone, with doubt, with social pressure, with the ancient instinct to pull the unusual back into the ordinary. Machiavelli would tell you this is not personal weakness, it is political reality. Every environment has a power structure. Every family, every workplace, every social circle, every network has an equilibrium. When you announce a serious transformation, you are announcing a disruption, and disruption creates resistance. So, what should you do? Hide. Not out of fear, out of intelligence. This is where weak minds misunderstand silence. They think silence means insecurity. They think quiet people lack force. They think invisibility is passivity. But Machiavelli teaches the opposite. Silence is containment. Silence is discipline. Silence is the refusal to leak strategic energy before the strike. The lion does not announce the moment it will pounce. The general does not reveal the full map before the battle. The architect does not invite the crowd to judge the foundation before the structure can stand. Why then do you keep showing your plans to people who have done nothing with their own lives? Why do you ask permission from the unqualified? Why do you confuse being seen with being effective? Because the ego is hungry. That is the deeper problem. Many people do not reveal their plans for support. They reveal them for emotional reward. They want to be recognized in advance. They want the identity of success before enduring the process that earns it. They want to be admired for the future version of themselves before they have built him. So they talk, they announce, they hint, they perform becoming, and the brain rewards them for it. This is the trap. The moment you tell people what you are going to do, you get a small taste of the emotional payoff: attention, surprise, validation, concern, curiosity. You feel movement without movement. You feel significance without sacrifice. Your nervous system confuses announcement with progress, and because part of the emotional hunger has already been fed, the urgency to work weakens. Now add the opinions of others on top of that, and the damage doubles. Not only have you released pressure, you have invited contamination. This is why invisible power begins with inner containment. You must learn to keep heat inside. You must stop talking your future into weakness. You must become the kind of person who can carry a vision privately without needing applause to keep it alive. That is harder than people think, because silence forces confrontation. In silence, you meet the raw truth of your own mind. There is no audience, no performance, no borrowed confidence, no emotional subsidy. Either you believe in the mission enough to build it alone, or you do not. Silence reveals whether your goal is rooted in purpose or vanity. This is why so few people can do it. Most are addicted to disclosure. They want to post the routine before the results. They want to announce the discipline before the transformation. They want to hint at the empire while still living like tourists in their own lives. But power hates premature exposure. Power matures in darkness. A seed does not grow because it is admired. It grows because it is protected, buried, pressed into isolation, hidden from hands that would tear it apart before it takes root. You are not weak for withdrawing your plans from public view. You are finally respecting the biology of creation. And here is where the shift becomes brutal, because once you understand this, you realize that much of your old transparency was not virtue, it was naivete. You believed openness would create connection. You believed honesty would inspire support. You believed people would handle your unfinished dream with care simply because you spoke sincerely. But the world is not obligated to protect what you expose. Machiavelli knew that men judge more with their eyes than with their understanding. They respond to appearances, timing, status, outcomes, not to the sacred emotional sincerity behind your words. If you reveal a plan too early, people do not see the disciplined future reality in your mind. They see an unproven claim in the present, and unproven claims invite attack. So the rule becomes simple: reveal results, conceal formation. Let people witness the effect before they understand the cause. This is the essence of invisible power. You disappear, not theatrically, but strategically. You reduce explanation. You lower your verbal footprint. You become harder to read. You stop making your internal movements available for public consumption. You do not lie. You do not perform mystery like a child playing dark. You simply develop boundaries around becoming. This changes everything, because when others do not know your exact direction, they cannot interfere with precision. They cannot poison your unfinished confidence with their finished fears. They cannot prepare socially for the version of you that is emerging. They cannot easily copy, distort, or get ahead of your movement. You preserve surprise, and surprise is a multiplier of force. Think about the people who truly command a room. It is rarely the loudest one, rarely the one who tells everyone what is coming, rarely the one broadcasting his every intention. The most dangerous person in any room is often the one who says less, observes more, reveals little, and moves with timing others only understand after the fact. There is a calm around that kind of person, a pressure, an unreadability. You sense there is more happening beneath the surface than is being spoken. That is power. Not because silence is magical, because silence preserves asymmetry, and asymmetry wins. If I know your next move and you do not know mine, I control the psychological terrain. If you need to explain yourself and I do not, I hold emotional position. If you are spending energy narrating your growth, while I am spending energy building mine, then even before the external result appears, the outcome is already leaning in my favor. This is why Machiavellian restraint feels almost spiritual when practiced correctly. It purifies intention. It cuts the ego out of the process. It forces you to build for reality, not for reaction. No more hints, no more dramatic exits, no more public declarations of war against your old self. No more trying to look intense. No more feeding strangers updates about a life they could never help you build. Work quietly. Let silence sharpen you. Let solitude clarify you. Let uncertainty belong to others, not to you. And understand this: invisibility does not mean absence. It means incubation. It means your force is gathering where no one can dilute it. It means you have stopped wasting power on being legible to those who have not earned access to your inner world. That alone can save years of your life. Because many people are exhausted not from the difficulty of the mission, but from the friction of unnecessary exposure. They are carrying their ambition and the opinions of 10 other people at the same time. They are trying to execute while managing perception. They are trying to transform while staying understandable to those committed to misunderstanding them. That is too much weight. Drop it. You do not need to be understood in advance. You need to become undeniable. That is the distinction. People who crave understanding often stall. They want everyone to get it before they move. They want emotional consensus before action. They want support before proof. But those who operate by invisible power reverse the sequence. They move first. They build first. They create proof first. Then, once the result exists, the world reorganizes its interpretation around reality. This is exactly how hierarchy works. Success edits memory. Once you win, the same people who doubted you call you focused. The same people who mocked your quiet call you disciplined. The same people who ignored your boundaries call you mysterious. The same people who dismissed your ambition say they always knew you were different. No, they did not. Reality simply forced them to rewrite the story. That is why you must resist the temptation to defend yourself during the building phase. The urge to clarify is emotional. It comes from discomfort. It comes from wanting to control what people think before you have the leverage to make their opinion irrelevant. But explanation is usually a tax paid by the insecure. The powerful let time argue for them. Read that again in your mind. The powerful let time argue for them. That does not mean doing nothing. It means doing enough in silence that argument becomes unnecessary. It means accepting temporary misjudgment in exchange for long-term position. It means tolerating being underestimated because you know exposure without force is weakness, while underestimation with preparation is an advantage. This is one of the most difficult disciplines in modern life because the modern world worships visibility. Show your process, announce your pivot, share your truth, tell your story, build in public, reveal your journey, explain your motives, display your wounds, make yourself constantly accessible and interpretable. And look what it has produced: a civilization of overexposed, underbuilt people. Everyone talking, few becoming. Everyone signaling, few sacrificing. Everyone curating the image of transformation, few enduring the isolation required for actual transformation. Machiavelli would look at this and smile coldly. He would see a generation mistaking expression for strength and accessibility for virtue. He would remind you that public sentiment is unstable, admiration is temporary, and revealed intentions create unnecessary enemies. He would teach you to move differently, not paranoid, precise, not antisocial, selective, not fake, strategic. Because the truth is, not everyone deserves access to your internal world. Not everyone has earned the right to know what you are building, what you are healing, what you are preparing, what you are about to leave behind, what you are about to become. Some people hear your vision and feel inspired. Others hear it and begin unconsciously organizing against it. You do not always know which is which at first, so until the structure can bear weight, protect the structure. Protect the structure. That may be the most important line in this entire video. Protect the structure before you present it. Protect the routine before you celebrate it. Protect the plan before you decorate it with language. Protect the becoming before you let people consume it with curiosity. You do not owe early access to your future. And once you begin living this way, something powerful happens inside you. Your relationship to ambition changes. It becomes quieter, cleaner, less performative. You stop feeding on reaction. You stop depending on recognition. You stop needing your identity mirrored back to you by people who do not even understand their own. And in that silence, you become dangerous. Because now your energy no longer leaks through speech. It condenses into action. You become harder to manipulate because there is less to grab onto. Harder to discourage because the mission is no longer socially distributed. Harder to predict because you have stopped narrating your movements. Your life gains strategic opacity. Others cannot fully map you, and what cannot be fully mapped cannot be easily controlled. This is exactly how some of the greatest transformations happen, almost invisibly. The body changes in private. The mind hardens in private. The money grows in private. The discipline forms in private. The standards rise in private. The exits are prepared in private. The old identity dies in private. Then one day the result appears, and people call it sudden. It was never sudden, it was simply hidden from untrained eyes. That is how power often looks from the outside, abrupt, but from the inside, it's years of invisible organization. You need to become loyal to that hidden phase. You need to stop resenting the fact that nobody sees your work. Good, let them not see it. Visibility too early creates pressure in the wrong direction. It makes you act for observers instead of outcomes. It turns the sacred brutality of self-construction into social theater, and theater is exhausting. Reality is enough. So here is Machiavelli's deeper lesson beneath all of this. Never reveal more than serves the mission. Not because you are afraid of people, because you understand people. You understand that admiration and envy often wear the same face at first, that concern can be disguised control, that curiosity can be disguised surveillance, that applause given too early can seduce the ego away from the labor still required. You understand that unfinished things need walls. You understand that timing is everything. You understand that there is a season for silence and a season for visibility, and confusing the two destroys advantage. That is maturity. And that maturity comes with a painful cost. It means grieving the fantasy that everyone close to you can come with you psychologically. It means accepting that some people only know how to relate to the version of you that asks permission, explains himself, keeps them comfortable, remains available, and stays emotionally easy to predict. Once you stop doing that, they may call you distant, secretive, intense, changed. They are right. You changed. You stopped making yourself public property. You stopped handing out maps to a kingdom still under construction. You stopped letting spectators influence architecture. Good, because your life is not a group project. It is a conquest, and conquest requires controlled information. Now here is the final truth, the most powerful one. The urge to reveal your plan is often the ego begging to be seen before the soul has done the work. That is the paradox. Talking feels powerful, but it is often weakness in ceremonial clothing. Real power rarely needs to announce itself in advance because it is too busy preparing consequences. The strongest move is not saying, "Watch what I'm about to become." The strongest move is disappearing long enough that your return becomes evidence. Let that sink in. Your return should be evidence, not another speech, not another identity performance, not another emotional manifesto. Evidence, because evidence ends debate. Evidence silences mockery. Evidence reorganizes hierarchy. Evidence makes people feel what words never could. And most people will never live this way. They will keep announcing, keep explaining, keep leaking, keep handing fragile dreams to people with clumsy hands, keep mistaking attention for progress, keep performing hunger instead of enduring it. Let them. We are not doing that anymore. We are building differently now, quietly, ruthlessly, intelligently. You do not need the room to believe in you. You need the room to feel the weight of what you built when it is too late to stop it. That is invisible power. That is Machiavelli's rule. Do not show your plan, not because your dream is small, because it is too important to expose before it can defend itself. So disappear from the need to explain. Withdraw from the addiction to premature recognition. Let people misunderstand your silence. Let them underestimate your stillness. Let them assume nothing is happening. Meanwhile, build. Build the mind. Build the discipline. Build the money. Build the body. Build the position. Build the exit. Build the life. And when the structure is finally strong enough, when the result can stand without your words holding it up, step forward without warning, not with noise, with proof, Because in the end, the most terrifying people are not the ones who talk about power. They are the ones who understand it well enough to keep it hidden until the moment it is irreversible.